Hi people, today I want to talk to you about how to make your resolutions stick. This is something I read a lot about, and it's frustrating as hell when you make some nice plans, some nice new goals for the year, and then after 2 or 3 months everything is just back to normal. You know you could do more, but something just kept you in your old state. So I want to share with you 3 techniques that help me a lot achieve my goals and make it a lot easier actually to achieve my goals. So I hope you enjoy, I hope you learn something from it, and let me know if this was helpful or not. The first technique I want to share with you is all about your imagination. You can do a lot of different tricks with your imagination. There is a big difference when seeing yourself achieving this goal in third person or in first person. First person makes it sometimes more scary, but it definitely makes it more vivid. And there are some emotions involved. For example, public speaking. You can see yourself from a distance giving yourself a presentation, or you can see yourself first person looking at the audience giving a presentation. The latter one is definitely more exciting, scary, you actually see from your eyes the audience looking at you. So this makes it more vivid. And when you're imagining your goals, it's actually a really good thing to make it more vivid. Also, make it more precise. What's the scale of your goal? Is there maybe a certain deadline you can set yourself to? And maybe you can measure your goal. Maybe you can measure the progress. Maybe you can measure your goal. These are really nice things you can imagine already when you are thinking about your resolutions. Another thing when it comes to imagination is there is a certain sweet spot in our brain that there is a certain sweet spot that make our imagination, makes our goal really stick. And you can actually use your brain and use the hormones in your brain to motivate you and get you excited to achieve these goals. I learned this from a super nice brain scientist, neuroscientist named John Assaraf in his book Inner Size. And he talks about the nucleus accumbens. I hope I pronounced this right. The nucleus accumbens in our brain. It's the part that releases, it's a neurotransmitter that releases dopamine. And when you're thinking about your goals, when you're imagining your goals, there is a certain sweet spot which triggers you to actually release dopamine, and that dopamine gets you motivated and excited to work on your goals. So how do you find this sweet spot? Because this sweet spot, you can have a goal that you know you would achieve, which is probably a goal that, for example, you are already gymming and you want to gym 1 day more in a week. You're I can achieve that. That's not a goal that actually excites you. That's not a goal that actually triggers your brain to release dopamine hormones. So you can't set a goal that's maybe too easy. Too easy is maybe the right word. So when it's actually, maybe it's an enhancement of what you're already doing, it's too easy, then you don't have a hormone reaction. Another thing that's really interesting is a goal could also be too big. So you have a goal, you imagine your goal, the dopamine gets released, but because it's too big, another part of your brain called the hippocampus also releases fear hormones that actually shuts off the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin, all the happy, exciting hormones in your brain with fear hormones. So you have a little spike of happy hormones, but then immediately there comes a spike of fear hormones, and you don't have the benefit of that dopamine working for you. So the sweet spot is in between the too easy and the too hard part. And this you really notice when you have your goal. For example, one of my goals is that I want to inspire and help 50 computer engineers this year achieving their dreams, make it easier for them achieving their dreams. So when I think about it, when I think about how I would better their lives, the conversations we have, the new perspectives I can give them, I feel myself getting excited. I don't feel the fear, and I also don't think it's easy. It's especially in the middle. So if you, for example, if I think like I want to inspire 5 computer scientists, it's like, well, it's doable in a year, 5 scientists. Yeah, it's a little bit excitement, but it's not like 50. It gives me a lot of excitement. If I put this in 500, I also get excited, but immediately responses come up like, how would I reach 500 people now? I don't have the tools right now. Maybe it's something for next year, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of resistance comes up. The sweet spot for me is 50 computer engineers. I feel when I imagine that really gets me excited. So for imagining, make it vivid and find your own sweet spot. When it comes to, for example, health, find your sweet spot in health. Imagine your perfect body. Imagine you actually seeing yourself in the mirror with a body that's really like, whoa, that's a good body. That gets you excited. And it's kind of like also in your love life, in your relationship, in your business, in your money goals, you can, in your habit goals, you can imagine yourself in the present tense, probably in first person, and like enhance it until it really gets you excited. That's your sweet spot. The second thing I really want to talk to you about that really makes your resolutions stick is the power of repetition. This is probably the most boring one I'm going to share with you today, but repetition, when I first started to read about this, I was like, repetition, it sounds boring, I want to do new stuff. Repeating is actually, it was previously a boring word, but stay with me for a second, because repetition is maybe a little bit boring at the beginning, but it really gets exciting when you start to play with repetition. So with repetition, you want to get reminded on your new resolutions as much as possible. A couple of things that really can help to remind you is, for example, use sticky notes and write the top 4 resolutions. For example, maybe you have 10, take the top 4, prioritize them, take the most important ones, put them on sticky notes and put them next to your mirror. This, for example, when you're brushing your teeth, you will always see those resolutions already twice a day. Another thing you can do is you can, for example, choose a wallpaper on your mobile phone that reminds you of the thing you want to achieve. How many times do you check your phone? Maybe like 10 to 50 times. So you get already reminded of your resolutions 50 times a day, and like it doesn't take any more time because you're already brushing your teeth. You're already checking your phone. So, but this gives a little reminder to your, not only to your conscious brain, but also to your subconscious brain, like, oh yeah, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I'm working towards to. This actually helps you a lot and doesn't cost anytime. And then another thing is, you may be thinking like, but do I have to repeat this thing for like a whole year? But this isn't actually true. You maybe have to repeat it for the first month or for the first 2 months. Because if you're rehearsing it or repeating it or reminding yourself every day that you want to achieve this thing, you actually like save it in your like deeper part of your brain where your habits are saved. So after 2 months of repeating, you just automatically, habitually repeat it to yourself, and it becomes a self-perpetual thing. So maybe at the beginning you think like, oh, I have to do this for 1 year, but you only have to do it for a couple months, and then you're going to do it automatically. If you want to exercise every day for half an hour, maybe the first 2 months you have to constantly remind yourself, oh, I have to exercise, okay, let's exercise. But after that, you're not only, maybe when you have a day that's pretty busy, you're like, oh, your automatic pilot is saying like, oh, this is the time I should exercise now. And before you know it, you're actually already wearing your sport clothes and you're ready to go out and do some nice workout stuff. The last thing, also according to repetition, is the concept of baby stepping. You've probably heard of this already. But baby stepping is a really nice way to make it easy for you to repeat your goals. And what I mean with baby stepping is, for example, if you have, one of my goals is read 20 books a year. And this, I'm not a reader, so this is pretty hard for me. So this is like a couple years ago, I only read two books a year. 20 books, pretty big number for me. And this came from Tony Robbins, a book called Awaken the Giant Within. I recommend this book like 1,000 times. He's talking about baby steps and the concept of Kaizen, like every day continuously improving yourself. And baby stepping, for example, on the 20 books a year thing, could be, I know I want to read 20 books a year, but to keep constantly reminding myself of how many books I still have to read is actually ruining my excitement for the whole goal. So what baby stepping does is it slices the whole process of reading 20 books a day into pieces. So what is the minimal step I have to take every day to achieve this goal? And when you slice this up, you're like, okay, 20 books a year is a little bit less than 2 books a month, and then you slice it up in a week, and maybe you slice it up in a day. And when you come to a day, I realized I only have to read 10 pages a day. I can read 10 pages a day. I do a lot of other silly stuff that doesn't get me any further, so 10 pages a day, that's maybe like 20 minutes of reading. I can do 20 minutes of reading a day. So instead of constantly reminding yourself of the 20 books a year, and when you only read 1 book, then you're like, my mind would probably say, you still have to read 90 books. You still have to read 90 books. But this thing is just keeping me reminded of I need to read 10 pages this day. Only 10 pages, then it's fine. Then I achieved my goal for the day. That's the power of baby stepping. And when you can repeat this stuff, this is just amazing. Like, you make yourself, it's so easy to not constantly reminding yourself of the mountain you have to climb, but actually just remind yourself of just the next step and the next step and the next step. So that was repetition. And the final thing I want to share with you to keeping your resolution stick is the power of emotions and to emotionalize your goals. And this is pretty much linked to the imagination we talked about earlier, and also about the repetition actually. It's like an enhancer, because otherwise, I don't know who it said to me, but I was inspired by the quote: we're not living in a thinking universe, we're living in a feeling universe. If you match your feelings to the things you want to achieve, so if you're imagining yourself in the present sense, how would it feel to actually achieve your goals? How would the people around you feel? Who is impacted by all of these goals? How would they feel? How would you feel about what they are feeling? You can bring a lot of emotion to this. And when you bring this excitement, this proudness, the love, the freedom you can get from achieving these goals, when you really feel this happening, you actually train your nervous system, you train your subconscious brain to move you towards those feelings. It's also the other way around. If you're constantly living in fear, you probably train your brain to move to fearful states of being. But really use your imagination to feel the things you want to feel, to really want to achieve. And one important part is that it's about feeling that like you already achieved it, not like, is it going to like, is this achievable? Am I going to achieve this? It's like not that feeling, it's like you already achieved this. How would it feel? What's the impact on your life? What's the impact on other lives? What's the contribution on the world when you achieve this? This is really important. And another thing about emotions, which like enhances a lot, is you can also ask yourself, if you achieved your goal, what would be the next step? What would you do with this dream body? What would you do with this new money? What would you do with this new business idea that's realized? What would you do with the event you want to bring into this world? So you're like, assume you already achieved the goal, and you're now going to fantasize and imagine and emotionalize the next step. For example, my goal for inspiring and teaching 50 computer engineers to help them achieve their dreams. If I achieve this, what would be the next step? Then I'm going to think about the experience I got from working with them, and how I can use this experience, for example, to make some movies or make some video course material that can help so much more than 50 people. I can use it to give talks. I can use this experience to gather more people, maybe to generalize it to bigger crowds. This all gets me so much more excited than only, like, I'm already excited about 50 people, already inspired, but assuming it's already happened and looking at the next step gives me so much more emotion and drive to make this goal a reality. So, to give you like an overview of what we talked about, the first thing was imagination. There is a sweet spot. You can find your sweet spot. So don't make it too easy. Don't make it too hard. Like, really feel and become aware of where your fear response come in. Go a little bit lower than that, but don't make it too easy. Not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna achieve this anyway. So it's a nice resolution, but I'm gonna achieve it anyway. Then the dopamine hit won't be helping you in this one. The second one, repetition. Look for ways how you can repeat, like remind yourself constantly what you want to achieve. Sticky notes on your wall, wallpapers, some text, maybe a WhatsApp status, maybe a nice quote on top of your Facebook page, I don't know. Could be anything, but remind yourself daily, and don't make it hard, make it actually really easy to do this. And the last thing is to emotionalize. Really feel how it would feel when you're achieving this. And look for the next step. Look for that. What would you do with this goal if it's already achieved? So yeah, 3 tactics to help you make your resolution stick this year. I really wish you all the best 2020, the best year ever. We're goddamn living in 2020. It feels and sounds so much like a science fiction movie. So I hope this helped you. I hope this inspired you. And speak to you next time.